Hello and welcome to Virtual Coast Fest 2020. I am Matthew Andrews, a 4th grader at St. Francis Xavier Catholic School. Here in our studio today, I am joined by Donna and Ryan. Today we are exploring Aging and Growth Lab.
Thank you, Matthew. I'm Donna McDowell, a biologist with the Coastal Resources Division, and I've been in this job for 18 years. Part of my job is aging the fish that come through the Carcass program in the Age and Growth Laboratory.
And I'm Ryan Harrell, a marine biologist with the Coastal Resources Division. I've been a biologist for 9 years. I work with Donna on collecting samples for the Age and Growth Lab. We'd like to show you a short video about what we do every day for DNR. We'll be back to answer your questions via YouTube and Facebook afterwards.
Welcome to our Fish Aging Laboratory. This is where the Coastal Resources Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources gathers data we've collected to make the best decisions possible in managing important fish species. Effective species management helps to ensure a healthy and abundant population of recreational and commercial fish and preserves our vital ecosystem. Coastal Resources Division biologists collect, process, evaluate, and preserve the aging structures of priority fish. Aging structures are part of the fish anatomy that can be evaluated to determine the age of fish. By knowing the age of fish, scientists can estimate growth rates of a species, maximum age to maturity, and trends for future generations. This information can assist in determining the health and sustainability of Georgia's fisheries. The process begins with the help of anglers from across Georgia's coast. The Marine Sport Fish Carcass Recovery Project encourages anglers to deposit filleted carcasses at collection points near fish cleaning stations, marinas, and docks. Anglers place the carcasses in chest freezers, and Coastal Resources Division staff later transport them to the division's aging lab in Brunswick. Anglers have donated more than 65,000 carcasses since the project began in 1997. After each fish is identified, measured, and its sex is determined, biologists will remove a small bone called an otolith. The otolith is used to determine the age of the fish. These small bones aid fish in balance and hearing and function in a manner similar as the inner ear of humans. Otoliths are sometimes referred to as ear stones or ear bones. They are comprised of calcium carbonate and located in the fish's head behind the eye just below the brain. Every year, additional calcium carbonate material builds up within the otolith. This process results in annual bands called annuli. Annuli are comparable to the growth rings found in trees. The otoliths among species vary in shapes and sizes. Some otoliths are large and chunky like those found in red drum and black drum. Others are thin and fragile like the ones found in southern flounder and sheep's head. A seasoned marine biologist may even be able to determine the species of a fish based solely on the otolith. Coastal Resources Division biologists remove the otolith by making an incision in the fish's head. Once the otoliths are removed, they're cleaned and dried. Next, a thin section is cut from the otolith using a low-speed saw with 2 diamond blades. A thin section is made through the core, yielding a clear view of annuli formed within the otolith. The sections are examined under a microscope and the age observations noted. Some of the fish aged in this manner include spotted sea trout, red drum, southern kingfish, also called whiting, Atlantic croaker, triple tail, sheep's head, and southern flounder. The data collected from these specimens are used in age-based population models, estimates of species mortality rates, and longevity. This information is used in stock assessments that provide statistics and information needed to manage fisheries. It's all part of the Coastal Resources Division's mission to protect and preserve Georgia's coast for the benefit of present and future generations.
Welcome back to Coast Fest Studio. Donna and Ryan are ready to take any questions you may have about their program. To ask questions, use the chat feature on YouTube Live or comment on our live Facebook feed. To use the YouTube Live chat, you'll need to sign in as a user and set up your YouTube channel. You can find directions at www.coastalgadnr.org/coastfest. While we wait on questions to come in, I'm going to go ahead and start with a few of my own. Of the fish received by DNR, which has the largest othel?
The largest otoliths that come through the Carcass program are typically the black drum. They're a very large otolith. It's almost about the size of a large grape. Takes quite a bit of time cutting through it, but they're usually around 40 to 50 years old once we age these.
And one of the things to remember too is red drum, there's a slot limit on a red drum, so you can't keep fish that are greater than 23 inches. Red drum also have large otoliths like black drum, but because of that regulations, you know, we don't see those large otoliths.
Of the fish that CRD manages, which one lives the longest?
The longest living one that we get through the Carcass program is the black drum, again, up to 50 years old it can be, so. All right, so we've got a question from Leslie Jones. How do they catch the fish?
Okay, so the fish that we get through our Carcass program are actually caught by our anglers. What we do is we have chest freezers up and down the coast, and when anglers come back to the dock, they'll actually clean their fish, and they'll take the fillets with them, but what they'll do is they'll leave us the heads and tails intact. So these are all from hook and lines. They'll put the fish in the freezer, and then we actually collect those bags and bring them back to us.
All right, so we got another question from Jamie Flantos. What is your favorite part of your job? Well, I'd have to say the favorite part of my job is being out there on the boat and just kind of enjoying the sunrise and catching fish and working with my crew that get very excited for all the fish that we pick up. And then just seeing how old fish are is always fun. We get a lot of 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, but it's nice when you get to see a 10-year-old fish. So that's fun.
And the same goes with me. I enjoy being on the boats. I also enjoy coordinating with our anglers and our marinas to collect these fish. It's very rewarding to me that I get to go out and just talk about fishing with anglers.
All right, so we have another question. How do the fish feel in your hands? Well, if it's a filleted fish, it feels kind of bony and icky, but we work through it. And then we just cut the fish heads open and we take the otoliths out, put them in a nice little envelope, and we bring them up to the lab to be sectioned later on for aging. Another question from Leslie Jones is, do the fish sleep?
No, the fish actually do not sleep. So they're active at all times of the day.
And Jonathan Watkins asked, how do you get into your job? For me, I know it was a childhood thing that I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a marine biologist since like the 7th grade. My dad's family were shrimpers. My mom's family owned the fish market. So it kind of made sense to me to get into marine science. And then I went straight to college, to Savannah State University, to receive my bachelor's in marine science. And fortunately for me, before I graduated, I actually got a part-time job doing a creel survey project here. And then that led into a full-time job, and I'm still here, so I love it.
Yeah, same with me. I actually was obsessed with fishing growing up and ended up going to the University of Georgia and did a fisheries and aquaculture program there. I actually was more interested in freshwater fishing until I started visiting the Georgia coast and fell in love with the area, and I ended up working for UGA doing some sturgeon work on the river there, and was working with gill nets, and it just so happens that a gill netting job opened up with the Georgia DNR, and 10 years later, here I am.
So another question is, what is the oldest fish you have ever found? In our lab, the oldest fish that I've aged is a 38-year-old black drum. So that's pretty cool. If they could tell stories, there'd be a lot of stories to tell of all the times they got released.
Matthew, why don't you ask me questions?
Is there any way to tell the age of a fish? Is there any other way to tell the age of a fish?
Yes, otolith is definitely the main way to tell the age of a fish, but unfortunately the fish typically is dead. So if you want the fish to be alive, you'll take samples of their rays or their scales to age them. Another question?
What species of fish do you get most from the public?
Mostly we get spotted sea trout, and that's for a couple of reasons. Here's a spotted sea trout right here. That's for a couple of reasons. One is they're very abundant on the Georgia coast. We also have a very liberal bag limit for spotted sea trout. Each angler can keep up to 15 fish, and also they're fairly easy to catch.
All right, so we have another question from Leslie Jones. What do fish eat?
So different fish eat different things. For the most part, I would say almost any fish that we work with, all these fish eat shrimp at one point or another. But some fish are more specialized than others. Sheep's head, for instance, usually eats different sorts of invertebrates like crabs and that sort of thing, crabs and snails. They actually have plates that are used for crushing that. A lot of these fish eat different things such as finger mullet or mud minnows. They eat a variety of things.
Sand dollars sometimes.
Sand dollars. We found some, one of the things that with this program though is we do get to look inside the fish's stomachs, and it's amazing some of the stuff we'll actually see.
Do fish hear?
Well, yes, the otolith is part of what they use to hear as well as their balance. It's very important for those fish. All right, so I got another question from Jamie Flantos. What's the largest fish you have ever caught? For me, it would be on the long line project. I think it was a 9-foot great hammerhead shark is what we called on long line.
I run a netting survey, and we've caught some 6 and 7 foot lemon sharks. Those will probably be the biggest fish we've caught. Now, personally fishing, I've caught some large sharks and also large adult red drum.
What do anglers get from donating carcasses to the program?
So we give a variety of rewards to reward our anglers for helping us out. Anglers can earn shirts, they can earn little golf fishing towels, also hats such as the one I'm wearing right now. Also, sometimes we'll do a drawing at the end of the year and find some sort of big prize to give away to an angler. I think upcoming we're going to do a drawing for, we have some bait coolers that we're going to give away.
Because sometimes anglers only donate once, but there are a lot of times where anglers have donated for years upon years for this program because they feel like it's important to them as much as it is to us. Do you have another question?
How is the data collected used to help manage Georgia's marine fisheries?
So the data that we collect is used to create age length keys. That's probably the main way we use it. So what we could do is we could take the fish that are already being killed, we could take that and then provide a key to kind of determine that fish that are still alive, how old that fish is based off of what we've already seen. Also, we use this data in a variety of stock assessments. So when we go to meetings for the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, for instance, we'll bring Georgia's data and we'll help provide data to help do age-based models and that sort of thing.
All right, so we have another question from Leslie Jones. The student asks, how do you catch a large amount of fish at one time? Well, it definitely wouldn't be on my long line because I only have 60 hooks, so, and they don't always bite on the hooks. I guess that would be mostly, your netting would be, you'd catch more.
Yeah, we'll catch a large amount with that. What we do though is, we use this for scientific purposes. So if you were actually going to catch a lot of fish in a recreational manner, using lots of rods at one time, or maybe seining.
And nothing's guaranteed. Jonathan Watkins asked, do you see anything weird in the fish stomachs?
I would say we don't see, anything foreign, for instance, but we do see a lot of, it's amazing what some of these fish will eat. A lot of times we'll work up a 14-inch spotted sea trout, and that fish will have a 10-inch mullet in its stomach. It's just amazing what they'll eat.
All right, so Leslie Jones asked, can the fish get sick like like we do with the coronavirus? Not that I'm aware. No. No studies have been done. Another question from Leslie Jones is, how long can a fish grow? That would really depend on the species of the fish. All fish kind of have their own maximum size. Black drum can get up to 3 to 4 feet max, where your trout would be 24 inches max. It really does depend on the species of fish.
And that's all the time we have for this session of Virtual Coast Fest. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the Coastal Resources Division's mission